We've missed you.
Pour yourself a drink, pop some popcorn, throw those wings in the oven, grab any snack.
It is time to catch up over pre-show cocktails, or tea, or water, or whatever.
Before the curtain rises at our favorite place, the Stratford Festival.
Let's gab about the shows of the 2021 season, the plays, and the cabarets.
This is Showstarters
with Alexis
and Ijoma. Cheers!
Hi there, my name is Alexis Gordon and welcome to Showstarters. We are about to meet with the creative team behind one of the cabarets for the Stratford Festival's 2021 season. But before we do that, I would love to first acknowledge the land that we are all digitally connecting from. Niagara-on-the-Lake, Stratford, and Toronto are on the traditional and ancestral lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabeg, the Adirondack, the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, and the Wendat. We are so thankful for their stewardship of these lands and recognize the long-standing history of sharing stories on these lands as well. And as the brilliant Sam White and New York City's Women's Project Theater has shone a light on for me this year, I would also like to acknowledge our privilege in having the accessibility to the internet, to computers, our laptops, our tablet devices, in order to connect to each other, as so many do not have that access or that privilege in this time. It is something that we do not take for granted to be able to share our stories and our art with you now this way. Now, today we are exploring Play On, a Shakespeare-inspired mixtape curated by Markus, Julia Nish-Lapidus, and James Wallis, and directed by Julia and James. Now, this is Robert's fourth season at the Stratford Festival. Some of his amazing credits and roles include Riff Raff in the Rocky Horror Show. Another amazing role that Robert has slayed, of course, includes the title lead in Dear Evan Hansen at Mirvish. And most recently, Robert starred in his own self-written episode of STRATFEST HOME's Up Close and Musical. Upcoming, now he will be in Markus Nance's Why We Tell the Story in the 2021 Cabaret season this year. This is Julia's third season at the Stratford Festival. Julia co-founded and is co-artistic director of Shakespeare Bashed with her husband, James, and they have been for the past 10 years. She assistant directed on Private Lives and had just begun assistant directing on All's Well That Ends Well at the Stratford Festival. Her most recent credit was directing Cymbeline with Shakespeare Bashed right before COVID hit. Now, James is entering his fourth season at the Stratford Festival. James is our other co-founder and co-artistic director with Julia, his wife, having done over 25 full productions and stage readings since they began. James has assistant directed at Stratford for several years, including Macbeth. And most recently, James and Julia have been teaching classes with Shakespeare Bashed, which they both agree has been incredibly rewarding during this odd time. Hello, everyone. Hello, you three. How are you today?
Hi, great.
Awesome. Okay, so let's set the scene. If we weren't Zooming, we'd all be in Stratford right now, like pre-show, but where would we be pre-cocktailing right now? Where in your dreams would we be right now?
Probably for me, it's Jobsite Brewery, which is about a block and a half. I can almost see it from my window right now. Or Pato, my two favorite local hangouts.
Amazing. Now, would you be having a beer at one and something different at either, or a beer at both?
Maybe a beer at both? It's
Love
a beer
it.
day.
It's a beer day.
It's a hot summer day here in Stratford. It's a beer day.
Yes. Cheers to that. I don't have beer, but I have cider. So I'll cheers you to the hot summer day. And James and Julia, where would you imagine us being right now for our pre-show cocktails?
You go first.
Well, I would likely be with you at the place that I know you're going to say. But if it was like a fancy day and I was dressed up, which I'm imagining is what today is, it feels fancy, then I would like dress up and go to the Bruce and get a fancy Negroni, which I've made James make for me, so I can pretend.
Yeah, not to start a beer war or anything like that, but I would be at Black Swan. Having a nice beer, best beer in that city, in my opinion. The Pazzo and the Bruce sound great. Wherever I'd be trying to have a nice cold pint and smiling because it's a celebratory day.
Here. And I love that you have the glass to match and everything. So everyone at home, pick your favorite beer. Obviously, it's a mixed pool here. We've got a lot of favorites for you to choose from, or pour yourself a big glass of water because that's also what I have as well. But let's dive in. So, Play On is the name of your amazing cabaret. I'd love to ask about how this wonderful trio got together. Am I correct, though, that you've never actually met in person to talk about this? How did this trio begin?
We got set on like a theatrical blind date. I want to give you this like romantic story that it was like a blustery December afternoon. And the Zoom link was the only thing keeping us warm, but like it's not that. We were set up in a meeting with the director's office of the festival, and we were kind of proposed this idea they were thinking of. So James, Julie, and I have never met in person. We Zoom very frequently, but we've never physically been in the same space, which is kind of an amazing thing that Zoom is giving us the privilege of being able to work on this project while we're cities apart.
We were both very surprised when we got the email because obviously we've seen Robert's work and we knew of him, but we didn't know him. So being in a room together with him and the director's office was kind of like, why are we all here?
Didn't know what the connection was.
We were spinning yarns in our head. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And once we did find out what it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. And I think it'll be fun. We'll go to rehearsal for the first time and be like, oh, you have legs.
Yeah.
So Play On, what should we know about the show? What do you want us to know before heading into the theater or clicking on the video link?
Play On is really about a marriage of these two very iconic pop culture things that are so present in our lives, whether we know it or not, you know. Pop music is everywhere. We love it. We know it. We hear it constantly. Shakespeare is also everywhere, and it's quoted constantly, even not purposefully, which is the case in a lot of pop songs, in fact. So it's really a great opportunity to show the relationship between the two, show the purposeful influence of Shakespeare on pop music, and also the accidental influence of Shakespeare on pop music, and kind of view them potentially through a new lens, kind of see these things that we've known and seen in a certain way, and see them put together in a way that makes us maybe rethink what they mean to us or how they affect us.
I think it's also a marriage of what the festival has kind of shown so much of over the years, which is really excellent musicals and really excellent Shakespeare. And I think it's a really wonderful opportunity to directly meld those companies of actors and the skill sets of both of those companies and kind of put them together in a really wonderful celebratory project.
Beautiful. I love that.
It'd be jammer after jammer, just like
jammer after jammer.
Jammer after jammer. So it's like get ready to be very happy and enjoying the music as it plays. And the text as it's read.
I think celebratory is really a great word for it. It's gonna be fun. It's a celebration of these two things that we know and love, and hopefully can share that love.
Absolutely.
Amazing. What is one of your favorite songs from the show? Were there any favorite epic connection moments between Shakespeare and a song? Like, what was your biggest aha moment of like, oh, of course we have to add that, or oh my gosh, I didn't even realize we have to add that?
And for an obvious one for us, it was like, this has to be in the show, is strangely Taylor Swift.
Of course, though. That's what came to my mind.
Taylor Swift and for me, the Dire Straits' Romeo and Juliet are like, funnily enough, it's the same source material, but those are the two songs that I gravitate towards, that I think we've all kind of agreed, that this is going to be kind of a tonal heartbeat of what we're putting together.
You know, I like silly things, so for me, it always comes back to Billy S. by Sky Sweetnam.
Amazing.
Just love. It's like I forgot the song existed, and then when we found it again, I was like, oh, this is a very specific time in my life. And I'm very excited to go back there.
Was your reaction and the initial challenge of setting this up at all, like hesitation of like, there'll be nothing to pick from, and then laughing at the plethora at all? Or did you know, like from the get-go, like, ooh, I know where to go with this?
I think for me, it was like, okay, worst case scenario is we just do all of Lion King. Like,
it's Hamlet. We're done. We're done.
It's Lion Hamlet. We're fine. It's great. So I was like, okay, we can at least pull it from that. But the ideas like kept kept flowing, and the more research we went, and like the more message boards you find of Shakespearean influence. Oh, it's a line of this, it's a line of that. It was kind of a bit like a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to have that treasure hunt all be music too.
Mm-hmm.
So may I ask, what was the first Shakespeare play you fell in love with, or your favorite, and what made you first fall in love with Shakespeare?
I have a very clear answer on this one, so I'll jump in. I fell in love with Shakespeare when I was, I think, 10, and my parents took me to Stratford to see The Merry Wives of Windsor, and I thought it was hilarious and so much fun, and I loved the language and the silliness, and I went home after that trip and took out a copy from the library and started reading it, and then my parents bought me a complete works, and then I became the really nerdy 10-year-old who just read Shakespeare all the time. So I know a lot of people, Merry Wives is not their favorite show, but it's still one of my, I mean, it's probably not my favorite, but it's still one of my favorites because it's the thing that got me into Shakespeare, and I kind of never stopped from there.
I love that. You're a very sophisticated 10-year-old, by the by.
I was drinking Negronis at the brew, Merry Wives, you know, as 10-year-olds do.
You're paving that path. Yes. Yes. I love that. How about you, James?
It's hard because I love Shakespeare so much, and it's hard. I mean, I'll tell you a story. One of my favorite moments with Shakespeare was on our first date. We actually kind of, because we were both kind of nerdy 10-year-olds reading Shakespeare, that's what sort of brought us together, and we were talking about it all night. And
but you weren't 10 years old. You weren't 10. No.
We're having a couple of these, one or two of these, and I remember I sort of just blurted out one time because we were both actors and both really passionate about Shakespeare, and I said, we should do Taming of the Shrew together, and I should play Petruchio and you should play Caterina. We should do it in a bar.
Which is not a compliment on a.
It's complicated. It's complicated.
So many characters you could pick, and you pick the shrew from the Taming of the Shrew.
But it worked.
Okay.
It worked. We did it. We actually did it in the Toronto Fringe Festival like 2 months before we got married.
Yeah, it was the first full Shakespeare Bash show, and we did it right before our wedding. So, like, good first line, I guess.
So, something about that play really sticks in my heart as something that's so connected to us. But and in terms of this project, it's been kind of fun to rediscover all the different influences and the lines that we've taken from Shakespeare, recontextualized. I mean, there's so much Romeo and Juliet, which is one of my favorite plays. I feel like I've read it every year of my life since I was 8, 9 years old. So, but it's just a constant love, as you can see from our background. But, we actually had a bust of Shakespeare here, and then we said it was too much.
It was too much.
So we moved it. So yeah.
We haven't met Robert in person yet. We don't want to come on too strong. We're gonna show him the bust later.
This theatrical relationship, it's on the rocks.
How about you, Robert? What's your favorite, or what was one of your first favorites?
A big monumental production was Bedford's Lear in 2007, because it was, I think, the first show I saw at Stratford, and a moment of, oh, I have to do that. And when that little connection, that little thread is sewn of feeling like that connection to the stage and that aspiration and ambition really solidified for me. And that was a very monumental production for me to see.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, how about for musical theater? Where was your first love for musical theater?
Oh, what a great question. Oh.
Starlight Express. I think for me, my dad used to take me to community theater when I was a kid. So we would see these community theater productions of like Puss in Boots and like Dick Whittington and his cat. And they would like sing bad pop songs. And I would stay after and like get an autograph from like Puss in Boots, like signed as like Puss in Boots, like not even the actor. So I think that's where my love from it. I remember vividly, I think for a lot of musical theater people, Joseph was really huge in like the 90s because of the tour, as James like gives me the heart. So that was a pretty monumental production too. But
sorry, can you name the colors? Can you still list the colors?
It was red and yellow and green and brown, and I forgot it. And I've done the show. I did
you have.
And I won't know it now.
ALW, we'll get back to you.
I'll just be facing upstage during that bit so you can't see my mouth move. It was red and
How do they memorize all those lines? Am I right? How about you, Julie and James? First love?
Yeah, I mean, I have a very clear answer for musical theater too. Apparently, I had very formative theater experiences. When I was 4, the touring production of Cats came to Halifax, and they had on TV, and I became obsessed. And my birthday was coming up, and I begged my parents to take me. And my mom kept saying, "You don't want to go to that. There's no plot. Like, you won't. It's not for you. We'll take you to something else." And I was so insistent. So my entire family went to Cats for my birthday. And like 10 minutes in, I just turned to my mom and I was like, I'm gonna do that. And the next day, I was signed up for every class, and then didn't stop.
Amazing. Did you dance as a cat throughout the house for the rest of your childhood? Yeah.
Reading Merry Wives too, right?
Yeah.
That balance.
Just the nerdiest little kid.
We all were there.
I love it. How about you, James?
I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to say West Side Story, because when I saw the movie when I was a kid, like, I know it's Shakespeare based, but yeah, and I remember watching the movie and just being kind of just in awe of something that cool and that interesting. So yeah, I don't know. You take me to musicals all the time, and I'm just always like, wow, this is so cool. We haven't seen Cats yet. That's on the bucket list right there.
I don't think we want to.
What?
Just mixed feels with the Cats, not mixed feels with musicals. Just with Cats sometimes. I have yet to see the full thing. I'll come with you too. I'm gonna third wheel your date. We're gonna get through this together.
It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing.
I love the polarity of the shows and the Shakespeares in some cases, or not though, too, right? Like how fun of the types of art that you can fall in love with, especially as a kid. And like at 4 and 10, like that's amazing. I have clear memories of a lot of tapes in the car and singing to Joseph, but also Les Mis. And I had no idea what theater was because I hadn't seen it, but I knew the lyrics to most of it, which is sort of funny. What sticks in your brain or what doesn't. So it has been a year. May I ask each of you how you have changed or how your art has changed in this whirlwind of a year? Julie and James, you talked about teaching a bunch through your company. Is that a pivot that's going to stick with you? Is that something that has grown and blossomed or been sort of forced out of this crazy circumstance of this year?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate to be teaching for what, 2-3 years now or something like that.
Yeah, we've both been teaching at universities for a few years, but we've always wanted to run our own classes and to really make that a big part of our company, but never had the time. So we suddenly had time, weren't sure about interest from people, but it has offered us artistic outlets during this time, which is really magical, but has also offered us an opportunity to support people who maybe were unsure if there was a place for them in Shakespeare or where they belonged. And we've really taken the time to develop a pedagogy about, how Shakespeare can be for anyone who wants it to be for them, and try to create kind of a welcoming space, which I think some of the things that we've found in our teaching practice are now things that we want to start involving even more in our directing practice too, in terms of creating welcoming, open, collaborative spaces even more than we were before, or at least even more purposefully.
Yeah, I mean, as much as Shakespeare brings me joy, having people sort of find joy in Shakespeare gives me even more joy. So that's been really great and such an opportunity, and definitely the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life now is just kind of teach. I mean, I love actors so much. So I love working with actors and getting to work with them every day. It's just the best thing. So that's been a wonderful thing. Zoom teaching's interesting. But I think we've also found strategies, and it's challenged us as teachers to be different and better and more accessible in a lot of these ways. So it's been great, in many ways.
And that accessibility, I think, is sort of mind-blowing in a different way, that we can actually work internationally with each other or present internationally without the cost of a plane ticket. But I love that too, like that spark, that like glow in a kid's eyes when they understand or perform Shakespeare and feel that power We used to do those prologues with Stratford. The pre-show groups would come in from schools, and we got to do exercises, and to see that glimmer of that kid on stage reciting a Prospero line and saying it to an 1,800 seat theater, like to get to, I don't know, distill that down to a laptop and having a kid say a speech and go, wait, I understood that. Like I did that, like that magic.
Exactly. Like it's just the best. It's the best.
And
feeling.
it's totally contagious.
Yeah.
And that joy. How about you, Robert?
It's been a weird year. Like I went to carpentry school. I did a year carpentry and renovation program, started a furniture refinishing business, and I vocal coach and teach. So it's been a strange, like, kind of pivot year, but one really amazing thing that has kind of been a wonderful reflection of this time and important for me to go forward is putting the person before the performance. I think we get caught up in tracks and roles and treat them not as the individual and the artist first. So I think our people problems need to be the forefront instead of it being about the show. I think we need to put ourselves as human beings first, especially in this industry. And I think that's something that I am really interested in carrying on because I've never been on this side of the table before.
Awesome. Well, and how much inevitably the work improves. Inevitably the space is healthier, more productive. Whether you meant to or not, it becomes this amazing, ferocious beast of a drive within your company when they're taken care of and they're so happy. So that is something that I hope everyone is taking forward as we come back to the, oh gosh, thinking of coming back to it, I think brings tears and goosebumps to everyone's eyes and arms to just think of that connection, that irreplaceable connection of live theater. But again, the beauty of, yes, the eyes hurt from the Zoom, but the beauty of the accessibility and the people we can reach through it. It's powerful. I'm going to ask you one more, sort of more show focused. What don't people know about Shakespeare? Do you have any secret loves or facts or things that you've discovered along the way? And what has Shakespeare taught you about life?
I mean, I think something that people don't always think about is that Shakespeare can be fun and accessible and enjoyable, that it's not necessarily this fancy high art. You know, you don't have to dress up and read lots of books and study to be able to see it and engage with it and understand it and enjoy it. It was written for the people, and I think it still can be, and it's gotten this reputation that it's something, you know, a little snootier, and I don't think it needs to be that, and I hope that that's something that we can maybe share with people, that kind of joy and accessibility through it, through this cabaret.
Yeah, one thing that I really love about working on this process has kind of been learning about the intergenerational connection. There's like so many eras of music that we're touching on in this show that people are going to be nostalgic for and that have a Shakespearean connection to link them all together, which is so exciting. So that's one thing that's kind of been like at the forefront of this. And I love the idea of someone coming to see R&J at Stratford and then going, oh, I hear the Taylor Swift song in my head because of seeing Play On, or go, oh yeah, it's Joni Mitchell. This is obviously Joni Mitchell. Like, where's the song? They should be singing right now. Like to link those two worlds together and to kind of find that like universality and accessibility is so exciting. And I think that will continue on for a very long time, hopefully.
With that in mind, what do you hope that this will spark in audiences? You mentioned the celebration. What do you hope they'll leave with after seeing the show?
I think by tying the two together, we're kind of creating a community, and I'm hoping that this show will also strengthen the community of like the Stratford Festival of bringing the two companies together. I think that storytelling in general will hopefully spark that sense of community too, and I think that's because we've talked about being on Zoom so much, being in the same space, telling stories together, and a story that is a wonderful celebration of two really great parts of the festival is going to be a really wonderful event.
Beautiful. I think that's the biggest thing that we're missing, and the biggest thing that only theater can give is that sense of community, of laughing and crying at the same time as all these people around you who you've never met. And there's been studies about how audience members can have the same heartbeat at the same time. Their heartbeats start to sync in an audience. And that's something you don't have at the grocery store. We don't get it anywhere else, but in live theater, there's something, it's magic. That's what
or at Netflix being like, wow, Alexis is at home watching Sherlock feeling this too.
I mean, I hope they leave with a smile. Like, I hope it's been a rough year, 2 years. Like, how long has this been now? And I think if we can give people something that makes them feel some of that joy or just feel something, there's a big responsibility to potentially creating the thing that is someone's first time back in a theater in over a year. And I just hope that we can make them feel something and make them feel excited to be back in the theater. I mean, I know I'm going to be like weeping probably in the first day of rehearsal and at the first preview and at opening and like just a lot. Yeah. So I hope I'm not the only one.
If it's about celebration, then it's very comedic in terms of Shakespeare's comedies. They're all about creation. They're all about something new coming from something past. So I hope people walk away and they say, man, I never thought of that. That's pretty cool. What else is out there that I can discover, not only just with Shakespeare, but anything, I mean, Taylor Swift gives me the feels. So I hope that we'll all be able to experience that. And I hope that they walk away saying, man, those are some of the best performers I've ever seen in my life, because we have some of the best performers. So I hope that will be definitely a number one thing that people take with them.
For sure. So has this creation period sparked any sort of future plannings? Is there any grabbing of Dolly's Romeo off the floor and saying like 2.0 is coming? Or has this made you go, let's do this with the tragedies, let's get some ballads in here? Or do you have to meet in person first? Has this sparked any creative trio future projects?
You could just be catfishing me at this point. I think our focus has been so much on creating this, and it's been so exciting to meld both of those worlds together. Like, it's so wonderful to work with Julia and James and feel their passion for Shakespeare, and to kind of and to play and collaborate on that has been so joyful. And we're kind of playing it by ear and waiting to see what happens and when and how we're going to do this. So we've been kind of focused. Is we've got our timelines, we've got our spreadsheets, we've got our goals written down. So it's kind of just been like as this pandemic day by day, but this is kind of like a highlight of my week when we come into rehearsal and we just kind of brainstorm and laugh a lot. We laugh a lot.
These two in their spreadsheets are very keen, I could say, on their spreadsheets, and it's me, the one who can barely use a computer, going, I guess.
Balance, team effort. That's what it's about.
It's a yin and yang thing. It's perfect.
Anthony Cimolino, the new matchmaker of Canadian theater. I love it.
Absolutely.
Now, I think it's about time for the curtain to come up and the show to begin. My last question for you all is, what are some things that you have been most grateful for in this crazy time? So what can we cheers to?
To new working relationships and open communication through that, and collaboration, and gratefulness to be able to create at a time like this.
Yeah.
I love all that.
Exactly what I was thinking. That's perfect.
And thank you for a wonderful interview, Alexis. It's been so great chatting with you.
Thank you all. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to see your show. Cheers to all three of you. Cheers to making art, to connecting with each other, and break a leg.
Thank you.
Yay. All right. Thank you so much for joining us for this musical episode. Make sure you check out Ajoma's episodes covering the plays of the 2021 Stratford Festival season. Stay well until we meet at the theater in person or virtually again soon. Cheers.